Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm here to do a book review. The book is The Infinite Country by Patricia Engel. This book is set in two places. It's set in America, it's set in Bogota, Colombia. It starts with the story of Moro. We see Moro we see his life, right? Like when he was born, like his father abandoned his mother. And because of that, the mother despises him. And so he lives this hard life. The mother just abandons him. He has to fend for himself and all that. And then when he grows into a teenager, he meets this beautiful lady, Elena, and they start seeing each other and they pursue a relationship, and at the end of the day he marries Elena, right? So he moves in with Elena and Elena stays with her own mother, Pella. So Moro and Elena stay in Pella's house. Pella runs a laundromat. They are just managing life. Let's just say that they are just okay together. Elena gets pregnant with their first child. She gives birth to a girl that they call Karina. So when Elena gives birth to Karina, right, Moro then looks at his family, the family that he's beginning to create, and he looks at the economic situation of Bogota, the economic situation of Colombia, and he sees that economically, Colombia is not going to favor them. You get, like, there's this economic, I won't call it economic recession, and the economy is just terrible, right? And he didn't want that for his family. Like, he wanted to be the best father that he could be. He didn't want to be like his father, who was irresponsible and just dumped him and his mom. So the best thing he thought about was to relocate his family to the United States so that they can have a better life, they can have better opportunities. So that's what they do. He tells Elena, and even though Elena is against it at first, but because this is what her husband wants, right? They pack up. So he takes Elena and Karina, his daughter, to the United States. They leave Bella behind. So they go on visitors visas, and they are there. Then he gets this job, but because he's not actually a legal resident, he has to do jobs that he gets paid cash, over the counter jobs. I think that's what it's called. So they are just living their life. They don't really have a home. They are managing with distant relatives, distant friends, and all that. Going from one apartment to the other. And it's in the United States that they give birth to their second child, the boy Fernando. And they give birth to the third child, a girl, that's Talia. So they have all these children. They are just managing their life. Their visa gets expired, so they stay past the expiry date. They move to this new apartment, staying with this new friend, and they are working together. And what happens is that the Moro's salary is paid to his friend's account. So the friend then withdraws the money to give Moro, right? What happens is that this particular day, the friend gives Moro the amount, and Moro counts it and says that it's not complete. And he asks his friend, like, what's going on? I think the money was $50 short. So he's asked, what's going on? This money is $50 short. And the friend gets offended that he's asking for missing $50 from him. So what the friend does is that he punches him, he fights, he beats him up, and he makes sure that the authority comes to take Moro. So the authorities come to pick up Moro. They see that he's living on expired visa, right? And the authorities, they arrest Moro, right? And they keep him in the cell for some months. And Elena can't go to visit him because she also doesn't have documents. So they keep him for some months, and after he has served his jail term, they deport him back to Bogota. Elena is left alone with 3 children to fend for. Talia being the youngest, still a baby. And life is sort of like difficult for her. She has to get a job so she can sustain the family. And when Moro gets back to Bogota, he was so ashamed of himself. He wouldn't bring himself to meet his mother-in-law to explain that he had gotten deported, right? So there was no one to turn to. He was just so ashamed of himself. He started to abuse alcohol anyway. That's just it. He just started to abuse alcohol. And because of that, because he was abusing alcohol, someone had told Pella that was what her son-in-law was doing. And then Pella then told Elena back in US that that's what her husband was doing. So because of that, Elena just decided to just stay in US because she wasn't ready to go back to Colombia to deal with his alcoholism, right? We have Moro in Bogota, we have Elena in US. People then advise Elena not to go back to the US. It's better she just stays there because she'd give her children better opportunities. And Elena just can't, we see from the story that she can't really see what opportunities they're talking about because
What was it about this country that kept everyone hostage to his fantasy? The previous month, on his own soil, an American man went to his job at a plant and gunned down 14 co-workers, and last spring alone there were 4 different school shootings, a nation at war with itself, yet people still spoke of it as some kind of paradise. So this was what Elena thought to herself whenever people discouraged her from going back to Bogota and people didn't want to have anything to do with Colombia. So, but in the end anyway, she decided to stay in the United States to take care of her children and took their advice.
what I love about this story is that they were able to compare the life and economy in Bogota to the life and economy in the United States. And you can just see from that comparison that it's probably like everything is just like the same thing, right? In Bogota, the challenge that they have, the social challenge they have there is the challenge of guerrilla warfare. Whereas in America, the challenge they have there is racism, right? So, and I love the way that racism was the way the whole family experienced that racism. I love that it was shown here. The mother experienced it; it was explained. The first child, Karina, experiences it. Fernando experiences it. So, what people, the advice that people tell Elena is instead of going back home to Bogota, it's better she sends the last child because Talia is still a baby and it's going to be difficult for Elena to take care of a baby, the other two children, and fend for the whole family. So the advice her friends give her is that she should send Talia back to Bogota because Talia was born in America. She's an American citizen. So it will be better if Talia should go back. Talia can always come back to the United States whenever she likes, right? It will be easy for her. So this is the advice that Lina takes. She sends Talia back. So the family is now divided, right? Because Selena has sent Talia back to her grandma, her mother found out that his last child, the baby, is back with his mother-in-law. This makes Moro to like sit up and he goes to rehab and he stops abusing alcohol and all that. And he comes back home to stay with his mother-in-law so he can take care of his daughter, right? So the family is divided. The family in Bogota see the other family in United States as being better than them, faring better than them. Whereas the family in United States think that the family in Bogota fare better than them. I don't know if you get it. So that's what I really this story is touching. I really love it, and it's a story that is relatable. No matter where you are from, right? Once you are not European American, you'll be able to relate to the story. I just loved it, and because Talia grew up in Bogota with her father, right? She gets to experience the traditional Colombian life. Like she even speaks Colombian fluently. She was considered even better than her siblings. And her father, he takes every opportunity to teach her about Colombian history, Colombian culture, and all that. There was even this folktale her father told her. I really love the story. I don't know if I'll be able to share it here. I'll try and see if I can share the story because I really loved it. The story was a folktale that actually fits their family situation perfectly. So I just love that part. I'll try to see if I can attach it here.
As a child, Elena's mother told her about the condor that lived deep in the Cordillera, so lonely that he flew down to the valley in search of a wife. He found a girl tending to goats in her garden and asked if she would be his wife. The girl said she loved her home too much. She never wanted to leave it, and for this reason she knew she would never marry. But she didn't mind because she couldn't stand the thought of leaving her parents behind. The condor said he understood because he'd once had parents he loved until they left him alone in their nest and flew away. The next day, the condor returned and again asked the girl to be his wife. Again she refused. This time, the condor said he would leave, but asked the girl if she would please first scratch a painful itch for him. He lowered himself so the girl could reach his shoulders to scratch beneath his feathers, but as she did so, he took flight with the girl, still holding his back, and flew to his cave in the mountains. Once there, he pulled out some of his own feathers, decorating the girl to make her his bride. At home, the girl's parents cried with worry over their missing child. A green parrot that lived nearby heard their wails, approached, and told them, "If I am able to bring your daughter home, do you promise you will always let me eat fruit from your trees and take shelter in your garden?" The parents agreed. So the parrot left to search for the girl. He found her atop a sharp peak, living with the condor. By now she'd grown her own feathers and birthed half avian chicks that died. She was no longer human, but something else. As the condor slept, the parrot took the girl back to her family. Upon her return, her feathers fell out and soon she was the girl she'd once been, happy and at peace in her home. The condor was furious and came looking for her, but the parrot was waiting in the garden where he'd been permitted to live. And when the condor tried to eat him, the parrot gathered all his might and pushed straight through the other end of the condor's body. The condor tried to eat the parrot again and again, but the parrot escaped each time out the other end, until the condor decided to tear the parrot apart with the force of its beak and crescent talons, swallowing the meaty bits, but each morsel swept through the condor's body, emerging in the form of smaller brightly colored birds. And this was how the land came to be populated by parrots, from the scarlet macaws to the tiny golden parakeets people like to keep in cages in their homes. When you read the book, you will see that this is the best folklore that fit the situation of Moro, Elena, and their family. It's exactly like the same parable form of their story. So that's why I loved this particular folklore.
In the end, I don't want to say more than that. I don't want to really tell you everything that happened. So I just advise that you get the book and you read it. You really love the story. I enjoyed it and I recommend it for everybody. Everybody should please get this book and read it. So that's the end of this review. Right. See you in the next one. Bye.